Viral pneumonia has hit central China's Wuhan city. Authorities have reported 27 cases in total, 7 of which are critical. They said there is no reason to suspect the virus was transmitted through humans, and no medical personnel have been infected. Most of the patients are reported to have worked at a local seafood market.
Chinese experts reportedly found a new coronavirus that traces back to the outbreak that we are seeing in Wuhan. And it said that the researchers on Tuesday, after analyzing samples collected from the cases, said that they had obtained the genetic sequencing of the virus.
Wuhan in China now on lockdown as the country struggles with fear of a pandemic.
Desperate measures to try and contain the deadly coronavirus.
More than 11 million people who live in that city now kept from leaving.
I'm declaring a public health emergency of international concern over the global outbreak of novel coronavirus.
2 patients from the same family in England have tested positive for coronavirus. The first cases to be recorded in Britain.
First of all, we now have a name for the disease, and it is COVID-19, and I will spell it COVID-19.
Good evening. A woman in her 70s has become the first person with coronavirus to die in the UK.
For days, shoppers have been urged not to stockpile. But if scenes like these, filmed this morning, are anything to go by, the message isn't getting through. Items like toilet roll, hand sanitizer and pasta are now increasingly hard to come by.
Good evening. The coronavirus is the biggest threat this country has faced for decades, and this country is not alone. All over the world, we're seeing the devastating impact of this invisible killer. And so tonight, I want to update you on the latest steps we're taking to fight the disease and what you can do to help. And I want to begin by reminding you why the UK has been taking the approach that we have. Without a huge national effort to halt the growth of this virus, there will come a moment when no health service in the world could possibly cope.
Downing Street has just confirmed that the Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, has tested positive for a coronavirus. Boris Johnson has coronavirus.
I'm speaking to you at what I know is an increasingly challenging time. A time of disruption in the life of our country. A disruption that has brought grief to some, financial difficulties to many, and enormous changes to the daily lives of us all.
She's joining us from London via Skype. What more are you hearing about the Prime Minister's condition, Miriam?
Right, so we have learnt this evening that Prime Minister Boris Johnson, as you say, has been admitted to hospital. This is after having symptoms of the coronavirus for the past 10 days, which he tested positive for.
It is now almost 2 months since the people of this country began to put up with restrictions on their freedom, your freedom, of a kind that we have never seen before in peace or war. And you have shown the good sense to support those rules overwhelmingly. You've put up with all the hardships of that program of social distancing because you understand that as things stand, and as the experience of every other country has shown, it's the only way to defeat the coronavirus, the most vicious threat this country has faced in my lifetime.
The rise in the number of cases is concerning. We've seen a rise in other countries across Europe, and it's so important that we do all we can to prevent that happening here.
And so now is the time to take action because there is no alternative. And from Thursday until the start of December, you must stay at home. You may only leave home for specific reasons.
Liverpool will be the first UK city to roll out mass testing. Anyone who lives or works here will be able to access a COVID test multiple times, even if they're not showing symptoms.
The only way that we're going to allow this kind of national depression to lift is when we get to the point where we can basically test the whole population every month. And I don't think we're too far away from that. We're on 500,000 tests a day. That would need about 2 million tests a day. This could be a big step towards that. And I think that's the moment when we can start thinking about life going back to normal.
The potential turning point millions have been waiting for. With approval this morning, people in the UK can start getting the Pfizer vaccine early next week. The first Western country to move from the trial phase to vaccinating the public.
British health authorities are rolling out initial doses of the world's first widely tested and independently reviewed coronavirus vaccine today. 90-year-old Margaret Keenan received the very first shot on what the country is dubbing V-Day.